that men may know that thou, whose name alone is Yah, art the most high over all the earth. Enemies gather, hearts full of hate. They speak in whispers, they seal our fate. They are no more, they shout and scheme. But you, oh yeah, see every dream. They make alliances against your own, with cruel intent to dethrone your throne. But you are watching, you are near. Let them tremble when you appear. Make them know you are Yah, the most high above all the earth. Let your fire fall like storms in the sky. Strike down the pride, lift up your worth, so the nations may tremble in awe. Make them know you are Yah. You scattered Midian, crushed Sisera stand. You move with fire, stretched out your hand. Do it again, a warrior king. Show the world you reign over everything. Cover their faces, bring shame to their name, so they'll seek you, not fortune or fame. Let your justice be known once more. Let the wicked fear and the humble adore. Make them know you are Yah, the most high above all the earth. Let your fire fall like storms in the sky. Strike down the pride, lift up your worth, so the nations may tremble in awe. Make them know you are Yah. Confound them, that they may perish in disgrace, that men may know your power, know your name, know your face. Oh yeah, not for vengeance, but for your fame. Rise in truth, glorify your name. Make them know you are Yah, the most high above all the earth. Let your justice shine like the sun in the sky. Strike down the lie, let the truth give birth, so the nations may tremble in awe. Make them know you are Yah. Them know you are. Make them know.
Shalom, family. It's good to see you all. I hope you're doing well. I know over these last couple of days we heard about two of our women from our community going into these hospitals and just getting straight up poor service, but it's not shocking. And now you're seeing the root cause of why so many lose their lives and why so many babies in our community lose their lives up in these hospitals. It's because they go out of their way to neglect our people. And when you see this, y'all, this is why nobody trusts the medical industry in this country, and rightfully so. We have every right to feel that way. And if I had to go to the hospital right now, the things that I know now, oh man, let me tell you something. I would not be laying there being naive anymore. You can best believe that. And it's not just the white staff. I don't trust these Hamites. They come over here with all kinds of fake credentials, fake degrees, fake certifications, fake license. I don't trust their asses either. Just knowing and all the stuff I've read, it's not just the nurses. Right now, they're just talking about the nurses, but it's also these Hamite doctors. Many of them are not doctors. They come over here with all kinds of fake stuff, get in these big positions, and then try to talk all big and bad like they've earned it all. And they've done nothing but scam and cheat their way into these certifications and positions they got. So, no, what I know now, oh, hell no, I'll be running their asses out. I'm with Muhammad Ali. Now, some of y'all will do, well, not all, F that, F that. My life is at stake. I'm not going to try to sit around trying to figure out who's good and bad. I'm with Muhammad Ali. If you're in that pit of snakes, you don't have no time to be looking around, figuring out which one's good and which one bad. All of you stay the hell out of my room. Okay, I don't want people with no fake credentials trying to treat me. So, man, it would be a different story. I'm telling you, it would be a different story if I had to go to one now. You can best believe it. And you know, these nurses, if y'all remember, there was a story that came out, it must have been like 2012. And it was these two white nurses, and they were working in the nursery where the newborn babies were. And they filmed themselves holding black babies and calling them baby Satan. Do some of y'all remember that? They were holding these black babies up and calling them baby Satan. And both of them ended up getting fired. It got posted on social media and they got fired. But that is the kind of people that's handling our babies. So you got to watch everything. You literally got to watch everything. If you got anybody that can advocate for you, especially if you're having a baby, make sure they checking on you and checking on your newborn. For real. Spot check them. Just randomly show up down at the nursery and see what's going on down there. But yeah, I remember that. It made big news. If some of y'all remember that, they were holding up all these different blacks talking about some baby Satan, baby Satan. I said, see, and then when we don't trust your ass, you want to know why. So anyway, y'all, let's get to this story. This woman and her husband has gone to hell and back because of these hospitals and these staff members that go out of their way to make sure we do not get the care we deserve to get. You know, it's funny, you don't want to give us care, but you'll gladly take that insurance money that you're getting. And as far as I'm concerned, if you're not providing the care, you didn't earn that money from the insurance company. I wish there were ways they would change the laws when y'all give poor care, like in the case of these two black women that were in labor, you don't get paid. You better pray I never get in charge, because if the care is bad, you ain't getting one dime. You ain't getting no money. And see, that's how it should be. I bet you care in this country would change overnight. If there is poor service, the nurses ain't getting off their asses to do their jobs, the doctors are failing to do their jobs, there should be no pay for poor service. That's how it would be if I was in charge. I promise you. These folks would be on the straight and narrow after that if they knew they weren't going to get money and there were consequences behind the action. Trust me, their whole attitude would change. You would see everybody up in here getting good service. So this makes me sick. I just can't see. You got to understand, I hate seeing our women in distress, especially when it was not necessary for them to be in distress. You were right up at the damn hospital. You should have gotten help, the help you were there for. These women screaming and crying, and all they're doing is sitting there with stone faces, heartless, soulless. and treating them like they're not even a person. You shouldn't get paid for that. No money. If it was me, you wouldn't get one dime for shitty service. All right, y'all, let's get to it. I'm done ranting, so let's get to it. All right. Oh, all right, y'all, give me a one if you can see my screen. Thank you, everybody.
This morning, a Chicago woman is demanding answers from a hospital she says discharged her while she was in labor. 38-year-old Mercedes Wells says she was having contractions 1 minute apart and knew the baby was coming, but a nurse sent her home.
I was in excruciating pain. She seen me in pain and agony, and I guess she still perceives me to not be in labor.
The family sharing this video of Wells being wheeled out of the hospital. She then gave birth 8 minutes later in her truck on the side of the highway, her husband delivering their baby himself.
It's totally God's grace. I was scared. I didn't know what to do. I don't have any medical license or anything to deliver a baby.
Wells says she spent 6 hours at the hospital but never saw a doctor. She blames racial discrimination.
I was stripped of my dignity as a person because I was treated less than an animal.
Can we agree that a woman in active labor should not be sent away without first being seen by a doctor?
The CEO of Franciscan Health Crown Point Hospital responding, saying the video and the comments it has generated are deeply troubling, and we understand the concern this has raised. The video is just one part of the information we are reviewing as part of a thorough investigation into this alleged incident. The good news? The couple says their baby daughter, Alina, is healthy and doing well. The Wells say they're not seeking compensation. Instead, they want accountability and changes in hospital policy.
So here's another situation out of Franciscan Health Crown Point. Here's another Black mother arrived in labor in clear distress. She's in a wheelchair, crying, breathing through contractions, and visibly in pain. And the video shows she's in active labor, but instead, again, of monitoring her, managing her pain, or reassessing her, staff discharged her. They told her she wasn't far enough along. 8 minutes after leaving the building, according to her husband and the video, she gave birth in the car. 8 minutes. That alone tells you she was not stable for discharge. Labor doesn't suddenly turn on in the parking lot. She was already in it when she was inside that hospital. Here's the clip.
My daughter's in active labor, and this is a Franciscan Crown Point being put out in active labor.
Regardless of cervical measurements, a patient in this level of pain should have been evaluated, monitored, and treated. Pain management is part of labor care. She received none. No comfort measures, no interventions, no support. The family is demanding accountability, as they should. The hospital released a statement confirming that staff members that were involved have been placed on administrative leave pending an investigation. But the broader issue is this. Black women in labor continue to be dismissed and minimized even when their symptoms are obvious and urgent. This is part of a larger pattern in maternal health outcomes across this country. This cannot be normalized. It can't be brushed aside as miscommunication. This is preventable harm, and until hospitals take this seriously and address the bias built into these decisions, stories like this will keep repeating.
While she was in labor, 38-year-old Mercedes Wells says she was having contractions 1 minute apart and knew the baby was coming, but a nurse sent her home.
So this is very triggering to me. This is the second woman that we've had come forward in this month about how they were racially discriminated against at the hospital during active labor. I said it's triggering to me because this is so reminiscent of what happened to me during my labor of my first child. I went into the hospital. I was in active labor. I was actually 3 centimeters dilated, and I was told that she wasn't going to be able to tell me, this is a nurse, by the way, wasn't going to be able to tell me if I was going to have the baby that same day or a week from now, apparently, because Black women can be in active labor for like entire weeks and months, because we're not fucking humans. But anyway, she basically sent me home, and she gave me she told me to take a Tylenol and a Benadryl and hopefully just sleep it off. And I was back the very next morning after I had hollered and hooted all night long. I was in labor, that I had to do unmedicated, and I had the baby that next day. And in all of that, I was so nervous to tell my story because I felt like, well, at least I lived during childbirth, because unfortunately that was a fear of mine. I had already had a plan set up as to what was to happen if something went wrong during my labor and my delivery, basically what I was going to tell my firstborn child if I was to die during labor, because that is what I expected going in as a Black woman going to have a baby. Like, the bar is that low that I was excited I was alive. I made it out, B. No matter if I was racially discriminated against, at least I didn't die. And that's a very low bar.
My daughter is being kicked out of this hospital and she's in active labor.
Video shared by an Illinois father shows the moment his wife, Mercedes Wells, was allegedly sent home from a hospital while she says she was in active labor. Wells said she arrived at the Franciscan Health Crown Point Hospital at about midnight.
By the time I got upstairs, it was about 8 minutes apart, my contractions. The nurse came in. She said, okay, let me check you. She checked me 3 centimeters apart. She said, okay, I'm going to check you again in about 2 hours. And if you haven't progressed, then we'll just send you home. I was on a monitor. My contractions began to get closer. She told me, well, take a walk. I was in excruciating pain. She seen me in pain and agony. And I guess she still perceived me to not be in labor.
Wells was escorted out of the hospital at 6:20 a.m. Minutes later, while driving away, Wells delivered her baby on the side of a road and then drove to a different hospital for treatment. The couple has since demanded accountability.
Despite the fact that Ms. Wells was sharing with the nurse that she was having contractions at 1 minute apart and was in extreme pain, and as a prior mother was aware that she was in active labor and about to give birth, she was still turned away.
Franciscan Health Crown Point Hospital president and CEO shared this statement with CNN. The video and the comments it has generated are deeply troubling, and we understand the concern this has raised. The video is just one part of the information we are reviewing as part of a thorough investigation into this alleged incident. While patient privacy laws make it difficult for us to comment more deeply, it is important to note that the videos and the narrative surrounding them do not accurately represent Franciscan Health Crown Point's Catholic Healthcare Ministry's values. The baby is in good condition.
What if I told you that a black mother in Indiana was sent out of a hospital while in active labor and ended up giving birth on the side of the road? I'm Dr. Michael H. Ford, and this is a story you need to hear. In Crown Point, Indiana, Mercedes Wells arrived at Franciscan Health believing she was in early labor. She told staff her contractions were close together, the pain was escalating, and something didn't feel right. But instead of being examined by a physician, she was monitored briefly, told she wasn't far enough along, and then discharged with a security escort. Minutes later, her family rushed her into their truck to find another hospital. They didn't make it far. 8 minutes into the drive, Mercedes' body did what her care team refused to prepare for. She delivered her daughter in the front seat while her husband, Leon, tried to keep her safe on the side of the road. When they finally reached Munster Community Hospital, clinicians quickly stepped in and provided the care she had pleaded for earlier. The same care she was denied when she asked for help the first time. Her family says Mercedes repeatedly told staff she was in active labor, that her contractions were intensifying, and that she can feel the baby descending. They say her concerns were brushed aside, her pain was minimized, and her symptoms were dismissed. She never saw a physician before being told to leave. The family is now calling for accountability and policy change, especially as Indiana continues to have some of the highest maternal mortality disparities in the country. They believe bias played a role in how she was treated. They're asking why a mother in visible distress was sent away and why her husband had to deliver their baby on the side of a highway. The hospital has since launched an investigation, and the family plans to pursue justice so no mother in labor is ever turned away again. Because when a system fails to believe black women, the consequences are immediate and the consequences are dangerous. Healing starts with knowing. All for more.
Getting kicked out of the hospital in active labor for being black, and her husband having to deliver their baby on the side of the road. This happened in Crown Point, Indiana, where Mercedes Wells arrived in clear distress after hours of strong contractions. Staff focused only on her dilation number, decided she wasn't progressing, and discharged her. They did not track her contractions, did not reassess her pain, and did not listen when she said something was wrong. 8 minutes after being forced out, her labor collapsed into crisis. Her husband pulled over their truck as the baby crowned, delivering their child on the roadside while Mercedes screamed through pain that should never have been managed alone. They then drove 30 more minutes to another hospital because the first one refused to treat her. This is not a rare failure. Black women are repeatedly dismissed during pregnancy and birth, and the consequences are often fatal. Labor is not measured by dilation alone. If a woman gives birth within minutes of discharge, her contractions were clearly close and strong. The hospital missed what should have been obvious.
I want you to imagine for a minute that this is you or your sister. How would you respond? I don't have to imagine because this is my sister. This is my sister-in-law, my brother's wife, my family. She went to Franciscan Health in Crown Point, Indiana. She was told by the nurse that her labor wasn't progressing fast enough and that she was only 3 centimeters dilated. Despite, for hours, her contractions going from 4 minutes to 1 minute. They wouldn't know that though because they did not put her to it, they didn't attach her to a monitor. She was not attached. She was never hooked up to any monitors. She never saw a doctor. She was discharged and told to go home. 8 minutes later, my brother, as he was driving to another hospital because he knew his wife was in labor, had to, with one hand, drive, and the other hand, he yanked her clothes off, her pants, and looked down and saw that my niece was coming. He saw her head. He had to deliver his child with his hands as he was driving on the side of the road. He had to pull over, deliver the baby as the car was still running, placed my niece on Mercedes, my sister-in-law, on her chest, wrapped her in a blanket, and drove to Munster Community, where they are now. For those of you that think that this is not real, you can see the umbilical cord in this photo that I've attached. That's still attached to the baby. That's what that blue thing is. They arrived at Munster Community at 6:53 after delivering the baby at 28. If you believe that women have a right to be heard and listened to, if you believe that Black women have a right to be treated with dignity, if you believe that a mother should not have to deliver her baby on the side of the road, please help me get justice for my family. Share this. Tag somebody. I'm not letting this go ignored. I'm not. And you shouldn't either. If this happens to my family, this can happen to your family. Thank you.
Yes, you talk about my uterus.
My daughter's in active labor, and this is a Franciscan Crown Point being put out in active labor. So we gotta transfer her to a different hospital. My daughter is being kicked out of this hospital and she's in active labor.
It's the table in the bed, so you can do that. Let's see what kind of do we have.
Transfer her to a different hospital when she's in labor.
We have yet another instance where a pregnant Black woman is being denied medical care at a hospital.
My daughter's in active labor, and this is a Franciscan Crown Point being put out in active labor.
This is Mercedes, and she was told by the nurses that her labor wasn't progressing fast enough. She was 3 centimeters dilated, and for the past hour, her contractions went from 4 minutes to 1 minute. So the hospital staff wheels her out of the hospital. Her husband helps her get into his truck, his vehicle, and they drive to another hospital. 8 minutes later, the baby is born in the vehicle. So this incident happened at Franciscan Health Crown Point Hospital in Indiana. The story was initially posted over on Facebook by Leon Wells, the husband, where he showed that video clip I just showed you, as well as the baby being born in the car shortly after. Family has come to social media to get some justice and accountability from that hospital. This is now the second instance that we have seen where a Black mother in active labor is denied medical care by hospital staff, and it's absolutely unacceptable. Mercedes' sister-in-law, Joy Storm, has also posted a video giving a full story time, so be sure to check that out as well.
It's really painful to see our Black women not be heard, right? Not be acknowledged. On today's episode of Shit That Actually Matters, let's talk about Black maternal health.
When you requested, well, where's the doctor? I don't agree with you. What happened?
She said doctor already gave orders. She didn't want to talk about this anymore.
My daughter's in active labor, and this is a Franciscan Crown Point.
In the video above, we have Mercedes Wells, who was turned away from the hospital while she was in active labor. In the video, you can clearly see she's in active labor. She's actively in pain. Despite her symptoms, the hospital discharged her and told her to come back later to seek care. According to the video, 8 minutes after leaving the hospital, the patient actually gave birth to the child while she was in the car. The family went to another hospital, and they're all stabilized and doing well now. This really hits close to home for me. One, because the hospital that discharged her actually did some of my anesthesia training there. And two, because it's really painful to see our Black women not be heard, right? Not be acknowledged. The healthcare system that we're currently in seems to not acknowledge Black women's pain and their discomfort. How many more videos like this do we have to see until we actually acknowledge that Black women have pain too? Black women are uncomfortable. Validate their feelings. Healthcare professionals, we have to understand that not everyone's going to present the same. Active labor for one patient may look different from active labor in another patient, right? It's common sense. According to the Emergency Medical Treatment and Labor Act, that hospital was supposed to take care of that patient there. She was in active labor. It's a huge blessing that the family's doing well and the baby was delivered successfully. Obviously, giving birth inside of a car is not the ideal situation, and there were lots of complications that could have happened in that situation. Black women, we stand with you, and we'll be doing everything we can on our anesthesia side of things to make sure that you're taken care of appropriately and given the best quality care that we can possibly give you.
Y'all, there is another video going around with a Black woman. She is being discharged from the hospital. The reason for the discharge is because her cervix is unchanged. And so 8 minutes later after she's discharged, she delivers on the side of the road in her husband's truck. Yes, clearly this lady was in pain and she should not have been discharged. And so, but I also want to say this, there's a lot of information missing from this. As a former labor and delivery nurse, I have a lot of questions. My first question is, did the doctor actually come to the bedside his or herself and assess the patient? Another question I have is, what number baby is this for her? Another question I have is, did the nurse advocate for this patient? Did the nurse say, hey, I know her service is unchanged, but clearly she's in pain. Can we keep her for a little while longer? Maybe give her something to help with her pain, to relieve her pain. Can we keep her a little while longer? Like, did the nurse advocate for her? So those are the questions that I have. And then on the other side of things, I want to know, was the unit full? Was the unit full of, like, everything was booked? They had a unit full of labor patients. Because that could have meant that, you know what, your service is unchanged and our rooms are full. We're going to send you home because we don't know what's going to walk through the door. And so whatever it was, they dropped the ball on her and they put her and her baby at risk. They delivered 8 minutes later. Y'all, when I used to work as a labor and delivery nurse, I kid you not, that when I would walk into my patient's room and if they were a woman of color, a Black woman, some of them will look at me and give me the deep, like, sigh of relief that I too am a Black woman that's going to be taking care of them. And some of them be straight up like, oh, I'm so glad I got a Black nurse. And so I immediately understood what they meant. The morbidity and mortality rate is extremely high for Black and brown women. We are 3.5 to 4 times more likely to die during childbirth. So the difference between what the statistics already know, what we know, maybe y'all have seen a headline, woman die in birth, whatever the case may be, but to actually, like, see it on tape, like people putting out their phones and recording, yeah, now y'all see the numbers don't lie, that Black and brown women are more than likely than their white counterparts to be mistreated, to die, or develop complications than their white women.
So there's another video of another Black woman being discharged from the hospital while in active labor. Black women are 3 to 4 times more likely to die during childbirth. And you guys can see why, based off how we are treated. I just saw a woman pushed out in a wheelchair in active labor saying her labor hasn't progressed enough. I need y'all to make it make sense because they said she's only 3 centimeters dilated. That's why they discharged her. There's medications that they can give to the mom to induce the labor, to increase the dilation, to help get the contractions going. This woman had to drive to another hospital and gave birth 8 minutes after she left. I don't know her background and her history. You don't just go from 3 to 10 immediately. But if you have multiple children, your labor progresses faster. So she could have went from 0 to 100 real quick. And she delivered the baby right in the car. The messed up thing about it is what could have happened while delivering the baby in the car. Her husband had to deliver the baby while he was driving. That baby could have aspirated on meconium. That baby could have had a shoulder dystocia, which means the baby was stuck and couldn't get out. Their mom could have died. Baby could have died. She could have hemorrhaged. There could have been so many things that could have went left. Like women's pain is ignored. We're pushed to the side. Yes, she's only 3 centimeters dilated, but I've had moms that are 3 centimeters dilated and they gave them nitrous to help them with the pain. It doesn't help with the pain, but it helps take the edge off. They could have gave her a walking epidural. They could have gave her Pitocin to increase the contractions. They could have gave her miso to help her dilate her cervix so she can deliver quicker. Not just ignore her pain and discharge her. It's just disgusting how they just think that they could just throw us out in the street like that. The girl's sister-in-law came on here and said they checked her, which means they did a cervical check, said she wasn't progressing fast enough. They said that they didn't hook her up to any fetal monitoring. I would think that they would hook the baby up to fetal monitoring so they can grade the strength of the contractions to see how soon she was going to deliver. They didn't do any of that. They just discharged her because she wasn't dilated enough. Y'all got to do better. Y'all got to do y'all due diligence. You got to do right by all women. You got to do right by them. You can't just discharge them when a woman is obviously in pain. I feel like I got to come on here and be an advocate for Black women. It's a shame how we're treated. I'm just grateful that that mom and that baby is okay. They got to do better by Black women. That's all I can say. I'm tired of talking about this. I really am.
I'm tired of hearing about it because it should not be happening. And, ladies and gentlemen, it's very telling, and they're right. When you always hear these horror stories only from women in our community, you never hear this from white women. You never hear one single story of them being in all kinds of active labor and they get thrown out of the hospital. You don't hear this about them. It is very obvious. It's all about race. And quite frankly, I think y'all are jealous because these women that you're throwing out, they're not having any birth issues. Y'all are having birth issues. And I think it has a lot to do with why you're treating these women the way that you are. See, y'all are having a major decline in birth. And I think you get mad when you see everybody else is giving birth with ease and it's getting to you. So this is your way of showing all that microaggression against these women that come in there. I'm just saying. So y'all, thank you for being here. I deeply appreciate it. I got my next live coming up at 3:45. I had to kind of push everything back because I was dealing with orders that I had to get out today. So things just got a little bit backed up, but everything is out. So make sure if you order, use the discount codes that I have provided. They are active. Thank you 10 will give you 10% off. Make sure you use those codes to get your discount. So y'all, I will see you at 3:45. Thank you for your support. I deeply appreciate it. Shalom, family.